Bienvenido clase. That means welcome, just so you're aware. It's me, Mr. Moore. Hello again. It's me and my bienvenido. There we go. Bienvenido, buddy. This is for Spanish 1, and it is the first chapter, grammar and vocabulary lesson. Remember, these videos, these flip lesson videos, aren't really meant to take the place of classroom discussion. Obviously, the things that I cover during this take much, much longer in an actual classroom setting. They go a little bit quick for our purposes of doing a video. However, again, as I mentioned last time, make sure to use the space bar, pause when you need to. The main intent is for you to be able to pronounce the information a little bit better, have a context of understanding, and for those of you who are parents who are watching at home, you can see some of the papers and the notes the students are receiving. These vocab sheets, which you see up here, Spanish 1, Capítulo 1, Vocabulario, those are always given to the students. You'll see later on in the lesson, when we get into some of the PowerPoints and things along those lines, that these are actually intended to be notes that students take on the reverse side of their vocab sheet, so that they always have some new words on one side, and then they have some new grammar rules that they're writing down on their own on the other side. Fortunately, for those of you who are watching, you'll be able to take these notes and get them after the fact too. So this just adds more access to curriculum, adds more access to the language. At least that is the intent. So that being said, back to vocabulary. We'll get right to it. This is chapter 1.1, which would be considered the first official chapter of new vocabulary. I'm just going to go through the different translations of each of these words. I will also go through their pronunciation as well. I'll do so kind of quickly. Again, if you need things to slow down at any given point, the space bar is your friend. I say that all the time. Okay, if we're saying hellos and goodbyes, our very first section, we have adios, which means, of course, goodbye, adios. Buenas noches, which is good evening or good night. There's buenas tardes, which is good afternoon. That's our first of several cognates that I'll drop in from time to time. A cognate is just a related word both in Spanish and English. And if you think of the word tarde, it sounds kind of like tardy, right? Well, tardy is being late, and tarde is the afternoon or later in the day. So that's just a word connection or a language connection that you'll see often in learning foreign language. Those are called cognates. Anyways, moving on. Bueno, tengo clase means, well, I have class. Buenos días, good morning. Ciao, another way of saying goodbye. Hasta luego, see you later. Of course, like a lot of these, the literal translation is until later. But in English, we wouldn't normally just say until later. Instead, we would end up saying see you later. So a lot of times you will learn a general translation, a more used translation, as opposed to the literal word-for-word translation. Like in the word hasta mañana, which literally means until tomorrow. Well, it actually just means see you tomorrow. If you're to say see you tomorrow morning, it would be hasta la mañana, por la mañana, because mañana also serves as the word for morning. Don't want to confuse you too much getting started. We'll go ahead and continue. Hola is hello. Señor, Mr. Señora, Mrs. Señorita, Miss. Tengo que irme. I have to go. So again, those pronunciations are adios, buenas noches, buenas tardes, bueno, tengo clase, buenos días, chao, hasta luego, hasta mañana, hola, señor, señora, señorita, tengo que irme. Next section is introducing people and responding to an introduction. So these are some different active words that we're going to practice in class and some miniature skits and back and forths and so on. First one is, ¿Cómo te llamas? What is your name? Again, literal translation is, how do you call yourself? It goes in that order. How do you call yourself? Very awkward for us to say something like that in English, so therefore the general translation is simply, what is your name? Encantado means delighted or delighted to meet you. Esta es mi amiga. This is my friend. Este es mi amigo. Also means this is my friend. Now you might be thinking to yourself, well, they both mean the same thing, but they have slightly different spellings. Esta es mi amiga as opposed to este es mi amigo. So you notice there are some slight differences in the endings of these. Well, this refers to a friend that is a girl, and this refers to a friend that is a boy. Amiga is a girl friend. Amigo is a boy friend. Igualmente means likewise. So if someone were to say encantado or mucho gusto, saying it's nice to meet you, you would say igualmente. Likewise, it's nice to meet you also. Me llamo, my name is. Mucho gusto, nice to meet you. Se llama, his name is, can also mean her name is. Soy, which means I am. Y tú, which means and you. So if you were to say, for example, soy señor Moore. Y tú would be like saying, I am Mr. Moore. And you are. ¿Cómo se llama él? What is his name? Or ¿cómo se llama ella? What is her name? So again, it depends on whether or not you're saying él versus ella to delineate he versus she. So again, those pronunciations are ¿Cómo te llamas? Encantado. Este es mi amiga. Este es mi amigo. Igualmente. Me llamo. Mucho gusto. Se llama. Soy. ¿Y tú? ¿Cómo se llama él? Or ¿cómo se llama ella? Moving on to the next section. Asking how someone is and saying how you are. Just asking for someone's status, if you will. A couple different questions for that. And we'll pause for just a moment here. Sorry. This is what I did. I dropped my mouse. That'll happen from time to time. Sorry about that. Anyways, ¿Cómo estás? How are you? Estoy bien, gracias means I am well, thank you. Or estoy bastante bien, gracias. I'm pretty well, thank you. In this case, the word bastante would translate as the word pretty, but it doesn't actually mean that. It actually means enough. So if you say, estoy bastante bien, gracias, I am enough well, thank you, sounds kind of awkward. So the general translation is, I'm pretty well, thank you. Estupendo, stupendous or great. Excelente, excellent or great. Gracias, thank you. Horrible, horrible. Más o menos means so-so. I'm doing okay. Mal is bad. Muy mal is very bad. ¿Qué tal is very similar to asking ¿Cómo estás? ¿Qué tal is like saying what's up? But at the same time, ¿Qué tal and ¿Cómo estás can be interchangeable. So if I were in, say, the hallway and I were to say, ¿Cómo estás, señor? He says, muy bien, gracias. ¿Y tú? ¿Qué tal? And you, what's up? Even though you're asking what's up, not how are you, you could still answer to ¿Qué tal by saying bien or horrible or mal versus excelente and so on, and that would be considered appropriate. Regular looks like the word regular, and that's what it means. It's another way of saying okay. Tú is you. Yo is I. Yo también. The general translation is me too. The literal translation would be I also, but yo también generally means me too. And bien is just the word for well or good. It's another one of those cognates as well. You'll see the word bueno or bien a lot, and that has that Latin prefix ben, like as in benevolent or benign, meaning things that are good. So that's just another way to help you remember that. So that's it for our vocabulary. I'll go through the pronunciations of this part one more time. ¿Cómo estás? Estoy bien, gracias. Estupendo. Excelente. Gracias. Horrible. Más o menos. Muy mal. ¿Qué tal? Regular. Tú, yo también, y bien. Y eso es todo. And that is all for that section. Moving on to the next section, which would be the grammar section, which is actually on the reverse side of your sheet. So you'd actually turn your vocab sheets over, and we would be writing these things down in class. I'll set that up for you right here. So this, you could tell the whole first chapter, this first week, is saying hellos and goodbyes, introductions, responses, asking how someone is. What follows is the grammatical part of it, some of just the new rules and things that maybe are totally foreign in terms of how we do them in English. I might have to make this a little bit smaller so that you can see it. I want to make sure that maybe I can move this over here for you. Hopefully that doesn't mess you up too bad. Moving it to the, I guess, the other side, which is here. There it is. There. Should be right there. Anyways, let's try that again and see if you can see that a little bit better. Not really. Oh, wait. I can bring it up here. That's about as good as we can get here. Anyways, hold on. Spanish uses some special punctuation that we don't have in English. All right? Now I can put this up here for a moment. We can let that live there. Spanish uses upside down question marks to begin a question. So they look kind of like this right here. And an exclamation, an upside down exclamation as well. So if you're giving a question, you're asking something, or you're saying something very excitedly like an exclamation, you will not only put the punctuation at the end of the sentence, but you'll also invert that punctuation and place it at the beginning of the sentence as well. So it's wrapped in question marks or wrapped in exclamation points. So something else to keep in mind. Accent marks. A lot of people, this is very new for a lot of people. An accent mark is sometimes needed over a vowel. So you'll see a little upward and to the right slashy happening over these vowels here. So a, e, I, o, u. Now in English we just say a, e, I, o, or u, but in Español son un poco diferentes. A, e, I, o, u. And sometimes we use those to show which syllable in the word gets pronounced the loudest, or stressed, if you will. The mark on the ñ has, as in the word mañana, is called a tilde. So that little squiggly line over the top is called a tilde, T-I-L-D-E. It indicates the sound ñ, as in the word canyon, or something along those lines. So that's called an ñ. Now an N by itself, without a tilde, just gets pronounced as a normal N. So those are just a couple special ideas. Next section. Okay, let me move this out of the way for a second here. Subject pronouns tú and yo. These are two very important types of subjects. So tú, of course, means you, and yo, of course, means I. We learned that in our vocabulary. Let's look at the first rule here. Use the subject pronoun yo to refer to yourself. In Spanish, yo, or the word I, is not capitalized except for at the beginning of a sentence. So that's just a quick rule for you to refer to. For item number 2, use tú, which is you, when you're talking to another student, a friend, or to someone who's about your own age. Notice that tú has an accent over the u. So that's a way of saying you when it's someone that's considered an equal or an informal situation. Now later on, and this brings us to number 3, later on, we'll learn a different pronoun to use when you're talking to someone older than you, or when you're trying to be polite to a stranger. You'll also discover that pronouns aren't used as much as Spanish as in English. So that other form of the word you, when you're trying to express, when you're trying to be polite in some way or in an informal situation, that's called usted. You don't have to worry about that one right now.
Dan Taylor, please call extension 8042. Dan, please call 8042.
So anyway, that about wraps it up. Now in class, we would have more examples of these, and we will add to these. And as the production values of these videos grow over time, hopefully I can provide a little bit more for you on screen. But I think at this point, between just having this available at home to look at in case you missed some of the notes, I think that is going to be valuable for you. And if for those of you who are watching at home, parents, if you're watching too, it is perfectly acceptable for you to watch these with your students so that you can gauge how well their pronunciation is coming along too. So I hope this is helpful. Again, we'll try to increase the production value as we go along. Thank you very much. Remember, you can always subscribe to my YouTube channel as well. It's mtmoore@stcs.org, which is just simply my email address here at Heritage. So the accounts are linked. So mtmoore, M as in Marcus, T as in Terrell, my middle name, Moore, M-O-O-R-E, and that is at our district email, which is stcs.org. mtmoore@stcs.org. Feel free to subscribe to my YouTube channel, and you should see all the updates as they progress. I hope to stay ahead of these. Have a great afternoon, evening, morning, whenever you're watching this, and hasta luego.